Welcome back to MMA Oddsbreaker. Frank Trigg, Las Vegas, Nevada. That is Lance Palmer getting ready to fight Jared Downey in RFA. Coming up here on, when is RFA? The
June
June
21st.
21st. Yeah, here in a couple weeks. Winding down training camp. How'd training camp go?
Went well. I actually came out of a fight for showdown fights on
Oh.
May 10th, so I just kept the training camp going and took a light week afterwards and got right back into it. So I'm ready to go.
How was showdown fights? What happened there?
It went well. I had a first round one arm guillotine from Mount in the 2 minute, 2.5 minutes or so.
Hold on. You beat a guy with a one-arm guillotine from Mount?
Yeah, it was identical to the Cruz versus Faber one finish.
Okay. All
So
right.
it was
I
fun.
was going to make fun of you and then follow it up with, if Uriah can do it, pretty much anybody can do it. So, but that is a very interesting technique to pull off. Was it something you just fell into? Or is that something you try to get in training all the time as well?
I've never done it in training ever, and it's never worked in training. But I train with an elite group of grapplers too. But it was more from from a wrestling situation. I was in half guard, and he went to his back, and I still had his neck, so I just mounted from there. And the glove was so tight on his neck, and I was cranking it so hard that I just postured up, and he wasn't able to go anywhere from there.
Oh, okay. Now, you said you train with some elite level grapplers. Who are you training with?
Just training Dustin Akbari is our black belt, and he's helped me become more of a hybrid instead of just jiu-jitsu or just wrestling. I'm using my wrestling to set up my submissions and be able to use it offensively for ground and pound and everything else also. So it's instead of just being one thing and then one thing, I'm putting everything together on the ground as well as on my feet also.
Now, explain to the folks at home your wrestling background. When you started, where you wrestled at, all that stuff.
I started when I was 9 years old with wrestling, and I went to all the national tournaments that you could go to as a kid. And then in high school, I went to St. Edward High School in Lakewood, Ohio,
Horrible program.
and I was a
That
fourth.
St. Ed's program is a horrible program. I think it's almost as bad as Blair Academy on New Jersey. It's a
Yeah,
pathetic
almost as
program.
bad as Blair.
I hate you guys.
But so I was there for 4 years. I was a four-time state champ at St. Ed's, and then I was a high school senior national champ, and moved on to the Ohio State University, where I was a four-time All-American as well as a Big Ten conference champ my senior year and national finalist my senior year.
Who'd you lose to in the finals your senior year in nationals?
Brent Metcalf.
That's right. That's right. I forgot. I knew it was something I couldn't remember the name though. Are you from the Cleveland area to begin with? Is that why
Yep,
you chose St. Edwards?
I grew up in Cleveland, and I go back there frequently. That's where my parents still live.
If you didn't go to St. Ed's, what high school would you have gone to?
At the time, I was between Walsh High School and St. Ed's. Walsh had a lot of good guys come out of there. Joe Heskett was one of the guys,
Yeah.
and he actually was my college coach. So Walsh probably was my second. I was actually enrolled at Walsh until the first day of school, then went to St. Ed's.
Believe Marcus Malika came out of Welsh, and then Alan Freed came out of
St. Ed's.
St. Ed's, and both guys are real close friends of mine. You may not know this, but I'm from Rochester, New York, and my dad was born and raised in Cleveland. He went to Glenville High, but this is back
Oh,
like
okay.
30 million years ago. He's 155 years old. So I'm very familiar with Cleveland because I spent a lot of time there in the summertime growing up, and it's kind of got the mentality from a wrestling standpoint where everyone talks about Pennsylvania, they talk about California, they talk about Long Island, but they kind of forget about Ohio when it comes to wrestling. The last big names that really came out of Ohio State that MMA folks really remember is Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman. Those are the last guys that came out of the Ohio State University. Of course,
Yep.
you have a cage fighter emblem on, sitting underneath, and Embrace the Grind is their big push right now. A lot of Jordan Burroughs and a lot of the other wrestlers on the world team are wearing their gear. Do you take that kind of we're kind of the best, but no one really recognizes us that you had from on the national circuit when you guys were, because even when I wrestled at University of Oklahoma, some of my Ohio State, they really didn't get as much notoriety, even though they might have been way better than us when on the mat, like the individual at my weight class, but they didn't get any notoriety like we did at the Oklahoma schools. Do you kind of take that same mentality to fighting now too?
I think is for Ohio State from the year that I started there when we took 10th in the nation, and then we took second twice in a row, and then we finished with eighth when I graduated, I think.
Yep.
And that kind of was the change for Ohio State that they needed. Before that, they had only placed the highest as third, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, I think that's the mentality that I've always had is wherever I'm at, I want that to be the best place you can be. And so for me to be out here with Team Alpha Male, this is the best place that I believe I can be to make me the best fighter that I can be. And that's been my mentality that's been passed down from my dad since he started me in wrestling.
You know, and obviously you picked a good spot, but there's also other wrestling programs throughout the country that a lot of people kind of gravitating to. Another one of them is just down the street from you is AKA. How come you chose Alpha Male as opposed to going to AKA like all the other wrestlers?
I think it was because Uriah kind of reached out to me during my wrestling career more than other guys. I talked to Daniel Cormier, who's one of my good friends and also great fighter out of there. But I think it's just the amount of guys near my weight class and the amount of guys that have the same personality and same work ethic as me. I just kind of gravitated toward this team. And I've actually never been out to AKA, but guys like Sean Bunch and Gray Maynard, those are guys that I've known for years who are out there, and they love it there. And it's only an hour and a half away also, and I've been invited to train with those guys a bunch of times. I just haven't really had time to do it because it's either been in between my camps or during my camps when I'm tapering off.
Now, were you there before Dwayne Ludwig showed up at Alpha Male?
Yes.
How much of an improvement did it happen at Alpha Male once Dwayne came in and took over the program?
I think for me, since I'm so new to it compared to all the other guys, it has helped me the most because I was at a point where he could basically mold me from square one. Because I was at a point where I was a year and a half in to training, but he could basically tell me to forget all the stuff I was doing wrong and be able to mold me from the beginning. And it's made a huge difference. The past 6 months have been crazy for me. It's been the way that I wanted the first year and a half to go, actually.
For a long time, a lot of guys at Alpha Male kept getting this moniker, they're always the best, second best, because Uriah would always get to the title fight and then lose the title fight again, and he'd always get there but then would lose it. They forget how much work it took for him to get there. And they just kind of had this, like Alpha Male just kind of had this cloud kind of hanging over him. But then since Dwayne's been there, it's been kind of a totally different ball game. Dwayne, I love Dwayne to death. You know, we talk all the time, and I still bounce ideas off him, even though he's supposedly younger than me and not supposed to be as knowledgeable. He has so much knowledge. The fight game is kind of silly. When you walk into a practice and you're kind of feeling down and you're sore, it's getting late. You know, it's like the second practice or third practice of the day. It's getting late in the training camp. How influential is Dwayne in making sure that you get up and actually do your stuff right?
He's always there with the attitude to. He's always upbeat. He always has a ton of energy. He's easy to, if you're down and you're in a position where you're sore and you're tired and you're at practice and it's the beginning of practice, he is so easy to get you pumped up without even trying to do anything. He's just always got that personality where he's go, go, go. He's always upbeat, he's trying to make everyone better. And he gets so excited that when he's doing it during practice that he kind of, he'll make himself laugh about it because he's always just, go, 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 making everybody just laugh because he's always like that. And I think that's what's made the biggest difference is just his attitude towards everything and just the confidence that he brings with him that's what's helped me the most, at least, and I'm pretty sure all the other guys could agree.
I'm not going to lie to you. When I'm having a bad day and I feel a little depressed, I call Dwayne, too, just to get a pump. It's just, hey, bang, can you give me just 30 seconds just to lift me up a little bit? So it works for everybody.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Break down Jared Downing for us. He's your opponent. You're going to fight in RFA, come up here on June 21st. What do you see when you watch tape? What's he going to try to do to you when you guys step inside that cage?
What I see from watching tape, without giving too much away of my game plan, I think, he's going to be in the fight, just, walking forward, trying to just, be the person who doesn't get hurt from kicks or doesn't get hurt from punches and just kind of grind out a fight. And I don't really know his game plan, obviously, but I don't think he's going to be able to out-wrestle me or out-scramble me by any means, and that's kind of how he's won most of the fights that I've watched was just by being able to grind a guy out. But I also don't believe that he's fought a guy of my caliber from any type of aspect of MMA yet, not just the wrestling part, and just the pace that I'm going to be able to keep on him because he's won most of his fights with his pace and with his ability just to keep grinding guys out.
Yeah,
I
he's a
don't
big
take
wrestling.
anything away from him. I mean, he's done well so far.
He's a big wrestling style grinder, but never hit anybody that's actually been in national finals. Never hit anybody that's actually spent, getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and having to go to training practice, then go to class all day, get a quick lunch, get a quick nap, and go back to practice again. He's never had that kind of go, 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 go mentality, like that kind of pressure. And I'm interested to see if you can actually crack him. I want to see if you can actually steal his soul. Because that's what happens when you really push a guy that's used to pushing other people. All of a sudden, in the middle of a round, it might be the first round, it might be the third round. At some point, you're going to feel it. Well, all of a sudden, he's just going to fold over. If that happens, without giving too much away, is there going to be a submission finish or is there going to be a knockout finish?
The way things have been going in training, it could be either. I don't really, before fights, I don't really know what I'm going to go for the finish with, but my last fight, I wanted to knock the guy out, but he just put himself in a submission. So it's kind of hard for me to say, but whatever way I can get the finish, that's what I want to do. But I also want it to be exciting. I want to show my skills that I've learned from Dwayne over the past 6 months, and also the things that I've been working on the ground also, and just things that I've worked on strategically just for this fight that should help me come out with the victory.
Well, Lance, thanks for coming out here with MMA Odds Breaker. Really appreciate taking some time. Good luck in RFA against Jared Downing. I'll be at home watching this one. I want to see how you do on this one.
Thanks a lot.